Don't move. Keep it locked.
You already know.
You're listening to the Fit Fatherhood podcast. And we're having conversations with dope dads covering the 4 pillars of fatherhood. We call it the Fit Fatherhood formula. Faith, family, finance, and fitness. That's right. These dads are setting the pace in business and fatherhood. This show isn't only about the outside success. We're getting down to who you are. Gentlemen, it's time to get fit. And now, let's get into the show.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Fit Fatherhood podcast, a podcast for fathers by fathers, where we talk about the 4 pillars of fatherhood, which are faith, family, finance, and fitness. I'm talking too fast, y'all. This is another weekly wrap-up episode, not the traditional interview episode, but just to catch up and talk about some of the things that have happened throughout the week, some of the things that are going on in my life, some of the things that I've experienced, and to keep you guys up to speed on what's going on social media, and the commentary in the comments. So this one's going to be a little shorter. I definitely I've got some stuff lined up. I got another podcast I got to do after this one. And then I got some work stuff and, the usual father's stuff, right? I got my kids, got up early this morning, hit my normal morning routine, got up, got my water in, did my meditation. It was a short one this morning. I just some square breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. Just 20 of those, and then had to get on about my business. Got downstairs, got all my stuff together, got my magic mind in. And I've talked about this. I feel like I've talked about this every Wednesday, but it's a part of my week. It's part of my routine. And I got my magic mind in, and I'm telling you guys, this is going on. I took a little time off, so we're probably going on now 2 or 3 weeks if I'm keeping track. And dude, I'm typically I'm tired by the middle of the day guy. Like I'm usually, if you ask my wife, she's like, somewhere in the middle of the day, you need to take a nap. Because I get up early. I get up at like 4:20, 4:15, somewhere around there. So by the time, quote unquote midday for normal people, like right around the time I pick my kids up from school, it's starting to get to the wee hours for me, right? And then I obviously have a whole evening of things going on, whether it be practices, games, training at my gym, etc. And what I've noticed, man, is that it's been really different. Like I don't have the normal crash. Like I remember back in the day, there was a energy drink commercial, and they used to talk about the 2 o'clock crash or the 1 o'clock crash or something like that, where you get around a water cooler and all of a sudden everybody's energy levels are just kind of dropping off. And I'm not having that experience, man. Like I said, it's been a few weeks now, 3 weeks, almost a month, probably a month. Like I'm not keeping track exactly. Maybe I can go back and look at how many boxes I've gone through and determine how many days it's been. But I'm feeling fresh and energized and more productive. Like I'm able to get stuff done. I don't feel like I need to take a break. I don't feel like I need to, slow things down or, all right, girls, when we get home, you guys get started on your homework and dad's going to lay down for a few minutes and then we'll get up and go handle business. It's not like that anymore, right? Like I'm very intentional about the time. So I want to try to have as much time as I can to spend with my kids. And I feel like when I get home from work or when they get home from work, and I've been working throughout the day up until that point, I feel ready to rock. Like I feel like there's more to be done and I can be the one doing it, right? What I really like about it, and I've said this before, is that there's all of these things out there that you can take to help improve your energy or help you feel mental clarity. Like there's a bunch of stuff. If you're on social media, you see this stuff all the time, especially if you're on like TikTok or something like that, you see a bunch of advertisements. But what I can say about this stuff is that it's 100% safe. That everything inside of it is third party tested, and it's sourced from the best suppliers. There's all kinds of like really cool ingredients that are in there that, I feel from what I've done as far as research are all going to be like really healthy. You know what I mean? The mushroom nootropics, the adaptogens, the vitamin C, the vitamin D, like all of the stuff that you need, especially for us as we get older. I'm not going to age myself and say that I'm old, but I'm getting older. And it's really, really important to, the type of things that I put in my body. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 21 where I can just kind of, trash my body and put in whatever I want and kind of bounce back from it. Now, everything that I put in has to have a benefit. So I love the fact that it, like I say, it's safe and it's got all the great ingredients that, that as we learn more about nature and we learn more about, modern medicine may be being good or not being good, or we learn about like these holistic ingredients. I'm finding all that kind of stuff inside of Magic Mind, right? And again, look, I've had Danny Lear on from Caffeine and Kilos. I love coffee. I love Danny's stuff. This isn't a replacement for coffee. This is not like, you got to kick your coffee and do this instead. I like the taste of coffee. Matter of fact, I had a cup of coffee this morning when I got back from taking my girls to school. I had a cup of coffee and a tablespoon of honey. I like the taste. I enjoy a cup of coffee. It is become a part of my routine and something that kind of I do. I don't do it every day, but it is something that I enjoy doing. So I keep it in my daily routine. The Magic Mind is for my energy. I never really took or drank coffee for energy. Coffee or energy drinks have always kind of made me a little more drowsy than awake. And so for me, like I said, I like the taste. So I still have a cup of coffee, but I have the Magic Mind because the Magic Mind has done an amazing job of making me feel magical. I really didn't know other way to explain it. And I think that the difference too with coffee and Magic Mind is I think people feel the need to have a cup of coffee and then follow that up with a cup of coffee and keep having cups of coffee until they feel better. But Magic Mind, the caffeine that's in it is time release. So it takes a little bit longer, to work. Not takes longer to work, like, because you're going to feel it, but like it lasts longer. It's probably the best way to say it. So you don't need to, slam a Magic Mind and then, at noon, slam another one. And then at 2, slam another one. You take one and feel good all day. Right. And that's what I like about it is I don't have to worry about it. I don't feel like I have to go back and, try to get another one so that I could feel better again. Like I take it, feel good. Right. So again, if you are like me, and most of you are, this is kind of like the 5 a.m. crew, right? Where guys will get up early because we know that the rest of the day is dedicated to someone else and someone else's time. Our only time is up early in the morning. And that's when I get my Magic Mind in. If you guys are like me and you get up early in the morning to get your, take care of you and make sure you're putting yourself first, then I would highly suggest Magic Mind. There, you can find it in stores, but I found the best way to do it is to go to magicmind.com because I don't want to say it's a better deal, but it's a better deal, especially for you guys that are listeners, because guys that are listening to this podcast right now, if you go to magicmind.com and type in, the coupon code FORFIT20, that'll save you 20%. If you are looking to get into it a little bit more long term, if you trust me, right, and you believe what I'm saying, if you get to subscription, you'll get 48% off. So almost 50% off of the subscription, which is a really, really good deal. I think, like I said, I can't say enough good things about how I feel and how energized I am. I think you guys can tell, like I'm recording this podcast in the morning. Like I said, I just finished my cup of coffee, but I have my Magic Mind. What time is it now? 9. I had my Magic Mind 4 hours ago, and I'm still like pretty high energy. I don't know if you can tell, I'm still pretty up there. And I know with coffee, there would have been a crash. I know with, the energy drinks, there would have been a crash. I know even with the pre-workouts and stuff like that, there's a crash. Like it's just natural. It is what it is. Those things aren't meant to be sustainable because they obviously want you to come back and get more. But this Magic Mind, I'm going to be like this all day. And that's what I really, really like about it. It's like I'm clear-headed. I feel good. I feel energized. I feel ready to take on the world. So again, for you guys that are interested, www.magicmind.com /4fit20, the number 4. I had got a couple guys that didn't type in the number 4fit20, or you can just enter the coupon code 4fit20 at checkout, and it'll save you either 48% or 20%, depending on how you want to do it. All right. So also, we got another episode coming out in a couple of days, another interview episode that I think is really, really good. I think I have been lucky enough to continue to find great guests. Last week's episode was Kyle Wester. Kyle really shares some valuable information as a licensed therapist and counselor, working with kids, working with parents too, but working with kids. He has a very unique perspective on parenting and fatherhood, and obviously being a parent himself. And so if you guys haven't checked out that episode, go back and check out that episode. I think it was really good. I picked up a lot from it, and I hope that you guys do too. So in the normal weekly wrap up vein, I guess we got to go check out the Instagram, right? We got to go see what's going on the gram. And I currently don't have my phone available to me because it is elsewhere. So I got to log into it here on the computer, and I probably should have done this ahead of time, but I did not because I was just going to come in here and freestyle Friday, but it's not Friday and this ain't a freestyle. So anyway, what's going on Instagram? A couple things. One, I've been doing a lot more posting. Like if you guys are following me, you see that I've got like, maybe whereas it was like 2 to 3 posts a day prior, and depending on how busy I was, is maybe 1 post a day. I have just been, for whatever reason, a magnet of content. Like stuff has just been finding me. Like my timeline has been ripe with valuable content. And so I've been trying to do my best to share it all, like all of the content that I find, as well as my own like personal created content. So you guys may be seeing like 4 or 5 posts from me, and that just is what it is. I'm still making sure that I'm taking time with my family, so don't worry. The girls are still getting all of me. My wife is still getting all of me. The difference is though that I am kind of scheduling this stuff a little bit better so that I have a little bit more time to spend with them, and I don't have to worry about being on social media when they're around me. All right. But I think one of the big things that has kind of come up, that now that I'm doing that, is I'm not able to get to everyone as much as I used to. Right. I think we're at 350 some odd thousand followers. And while I try to be the one that replies to everything, it's becoming increasingly hard to do that. So if you guys that are listening to this that used to like talk to me, used to reach out, and and I would be able to reply back, it's not that I've changed or anything, or you're just kind of, I'm leaving you on red. It's just been a while. It's been difficult. It's been difficult to try to manage it a little bit more now. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it, but it is what it is. All right, so let's see what's gotten you guys going this week. What's going on in the comments? Oh man. All right, so I mentioned this on the last episode of this, where we're talking about just guys who are struggling or dealing with things that are going on in their lives. There's this kind of negative undertone, and I mentioned that you guys to just stay positive. But in that, there's just been a lot of feedback of guys that feel that way. And I think it's really important to address that in fatherhood and manhood, if we don't get the proper tutelage, if we don't have a process to bring up men, transition boys into men, then it's going to be increasingly difficult. And a lot of us, we are now the product of a generation where fathers weren't as present in the home, or weren't present at all in the home. And so we really didn't have great examples or great role models of fatherhood. And so now that we have been thrust into fatherhood, especially the young guys, the new fathers, have been thrust into fatherhood without any great examples, it is really truly a struggle. And so this week I've tried to do a lot to one, highlight that, and highlight the commonality of it, how common it is for us. And so guys don't feel isolated, or don't feel like they're the only one, or feel like they're the only guy that's dealing with something. I think we're all dealing with something. We all have something going on. And I just wanted to, like I said, try to highlight that. And then, in the captions and in the comment section, really let guys know that they're not alone, that these things are happening to other people, and that we can continue to do what we need to do in order to move forward. But there was a post, and I've posted it before, so it's kind of a repost of a post, I guess we'll say. And it's from Modern Family, and I'm talking to is Jay Pritchett, who's the patriarch of the family. He's the father or the grandfather, depending on who your favorite character is. But he's the patriarch of the family, and he's talking, I think it's a graduation party, and talking about the transition, right? Because when you become a father, obviously you're a father to a baby, and then before you know that, that baby is replaced by a toddler, and replaced by a kid, replaced by a teen, and eventually replaced by an adult. And all along the journey, as they're being replaced by this other person, you're falling in love and then grieving the loss of that person. Like, you fall in love with the baby, but then before you know it, they're a toddler, and all of the baby stuff is gone. So there's this little bit of excitement that, they hit the next phase, but there's also that grief. Me and my wife talk about my oldest daughter. We talk about, it's like little words that they used to say that they didn't say right. Like my oldest daughter, for the longest time, used to say commercial instead of commercial. And my youngest daughter would say, what is it? It's not terrorize, torturize was her thing. She used to say torturize. It's torturizing. And we just told her at 9 years old that torturize was not a thing because we told my older daughter about commercial really early. And, we was like, dang, man, we lost that little innocent, funny commercial word. And so we let my younger daughter hold on to it. But my older daughter was like, she's kind of like pissed about it. Like, why don't you guys tell her? Why don't you say something? Why don't you and then, so the way we ended up telling her is she said it. My younger daughter said torturize. And my older daughter was like, okay, I guess we got torturized, like sarcastically. And my younger daughter goes, why is every time I say torturized, you have a problem with it? Like she got offended. And so she's catching on that, like, there's something going on with it. And so we had to break down and tell her. And my older daughter was like, I don't know why. She's so smart. She's so this, she's so that. Why wouldn't you just tell her? Like, why would you let her go to school and possibly say torturized in class and then not look like a dumb kid? And I'm like, man, it's not that at all, man. It's just, I was like, someday when you're older and you have kids, you'll understand that, you only have these moments for so long. I actually just saw a post today that kind of hit on that. And it was, you only get one first birthday. You get, one graduation. You get one or maybe two proms. You get one first date. You get, what I'm saying? Like you only get these opportunities one time. A lot of them. Some of them you may get multiple times if you have multiple children, but it's not the same because it's a different person. And so the whole premise behind the post and the premise behind me even talking about this is man, as much as we struggle, as much pain and trauma and stress that we go through trying to be the man that we are, we have to also make sure that we are grateful for every moment that we get, because that moment, one, is a blessing, and two, the next moment isn't promised. So as fathers, as men, we have to embrace those moments. We have to embrace those opportunities because they only last for so long. Right? They only are going to be here while they're here, and then they're gone and they never come back. So the attitude of gratitude, the practice of being grateful, the idea that we need to make sure that we do everything in our power to be present in those moments, both mentally and physically, is huge. I mean, we have to, right? Because like I said, there's only one first birthday. You miss that, there's no more first birthdays. You could try to make the second birthday just as magical, but it's not the same. It's never going to be the same. And so it's really important that we make sure that we do everything that we can to be present, even if we are struggling ourselves, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take care of yourself, because if you are in fact struggling, you definitely should be doing something to take care of yourself. But I'm saying even in the midst of that, right? Even in the midst of your storms, you have to make sure that you are a lighthouse, you are a beacon for your family. You have to be present for your family and make sure that you're there. A couple of other like really good ones, and I'll you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play some of these for you guys, because that's what kind of gets it makes it a little better. I could talk about them all day, but when you hear them or when you see the video or you can make the connection, it's a little different. Okay, so we'll get into some of the posts, but there's a couple of things, and like I said, I take notes and see stuff, say stuff. So before we get into the actual post, a couple things. I heard this on a podcast the other day, and it's if you change the way you consume, you change the way you create. And like I said before, man, if you guys have been listening to this for a while, I see fatherhood in everything. I connect everything to fatherhood because it's my purpose. It's at my core who I am and what I am. And so this resonated with me, and I made the connection almost instantly. Is like, okay, the way that I'm going to father, or the way that I'm going to be influenced to father, the way that I'm going to be showing up, has a lot to do with what I consume, right? Not just like, not the food I eat, but the people I keep in my circle, the type of music I listen to, the kind of books I read, the type of TV that I watch. Regardless of who you are or what you think, you are influenced. Things influence you. You are swayed to lean one way or the other. I think we're in a political cycle, and I'm not going to talk politics on here, but I think people are even more swayed one way or the other around this time, right? And so to act as if you're immune to that, you're not. And whether you're conscious of it or not is completely different. So you could be unconsciously consuming some things that aren't good for you, that are making your life, maybe less of what you want it to be. And so you have to be careful about what you consume. You have to be careful what you're listening to. You have to be careful the circles you're running in, the people that you keep around you, the things that you are doing or saying or hearing, because it is going to affect the environment that you create. As a father, you are the thermostat and not the thermometer. It is your job to set the temperature of the room, not to take the temperature of the room. You can be aware of what the temperature is. You can know it's too hot or too cold, but then you are the thermostat, meaning you either bring the heat up or you turn the heat down, or you turn on the air conditioner, whatever, however you want to phrase it. But as the leader of the household, you have to have some awareness of what the temperature is like. You have to have some awareness of where it is comfortable for everyone. You have to know whether it needs to be turned up or turned down, and then you control that turn up or turn down. So you create the environment that your family lives in. What you consume determines how you create that, though. And so you have to be really careful again about who you keep in your circle, who you keep around you, and what things you allow to influence you. And whether you want to believe it or not, you are influenced. You're going to be influenced. I don't know, see that's it. I see. I get that background noise out, but it's whatever. Turn it off. I sweat a little bit, but anyway, right? There's another thing. This is the same podcast. It's pretty good. It wasn't about fatherhood at all. It's about business and branding. But if you ask better questions, you get better answers. I talk about this all the time. Is that I'm very intentional about the conversations that me and my daughters have on the way to school and on the way from school. On the way to school, we're setting the tone for the type of day that they are going to have. So the type of conversations we have need to prepare them for what's coming next. I generally like to keep it positive, motivational. We share things we're grateful for. We talk about things we're excited about. We try to get those out of the way and kind of keep the things upbeat. When I picked them up from school, I asked them, this is what I used to do, and this is when things got better. So I used to ask them how school was, and what I would get is good or bad. Rarely ever bad, though. It was a good day. Okay, well, I don't know what that means. What happened, right? How was it a good day? What happened? There was something funny that happened. Like, I realized that by just asking them that question, it was easy for them to just say it was a good day, and then that kills the conversation. So what I've started doing instead of saying that is I started asking better questions. Like, was there anything that gave you trouble today? Like in class, I know we had talked about math the other day. How was math today? Did it give you any trouble? Was some things that you enjoyed today? Like, what was the funniest thing you heard today? Right? Or in PE, oh, you guys played baseball today? How many home runs you hit? Right? And then they start to tell you the story. They start to give you the game on what's happening for them. And I think that is where you make those connections, because if you leave it at how was your day, then that's all you get from them. They're just going to say good. And now the conversation is dead and you're quietly driving home. You're losing opportunities to connect. And I've said this before, and I've posted it and commented on it, is, if we're saying that by 75% of the time that you spend with your child is gone, then every moment you get is to keep that influence, that connection, that relationship. You have to nurture it. And asking better questions and getting better answers provides for better conversation and better connection. So definitely, right? Think about the questions that you ask. Have some ideas about some questions that are a little more open-ended, that give them the opportunity to talk and share, because the more you are interested in them, the longer they're going to allow you to be interested in them, right? And the more you show interest in the things that they're interested in, the more interested in you they're going to be. Otherwise, you start getting the closed doors. I don't want to hang around dad, or that kind of stuff, right? And we don't want that. We want to try to be as present and available as we can, and as much as they'll allow us to be. And the more we are interested in the things they're interested in, the longer we can do that. Same podcast. What I give my family is more important to me than what I get from them. I think we got to sit with that one for a little bit, right? Because I think sometimes we are I was just on the Daughter podcast the other day, and we were talking about this a little bit. And, we talked about using work as an excuse for why we can't do anything, or blaming our kids when something doesn't go right in our lives and in our situation. And, it's an excuse. Like, your kids, I'm going to work. My daughter comes up to me, Dad, why you gotta go to work? I was like, well, you like these lights in this house, right? You enjoy the food that's in your stomach. And we're kind of like making it their fault that we have to leave, kind of weirdly. But it's what I'm able to give them is what's most important, not what I get from them. So I don't need them to be grateful for what I'm doing in order for me to do it. I don't need them to pat me on the back and say thank you for the things that I'm doing, because I'm doing them because I want to. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy hearing that. Doesn't mean that I don't want to feel that. Doesn't mean that I don't want to feel appreciated. But I'm not doing it for the appreciation. I'm doing it because the kindness of my heart and who I am, and as a man, that's what I want to do for them. And I'm doing it for them, not for something else. And I think we have to really, really embrace that, because I think a lot of times when we feel unappreciated, when we feel unloved, when we feel like our family's just using us, sometimes we get resentful and we don't want to do things, and we don't want to show up in the way that we want to show up. Or we start thinking a little bit more about ourselves and get a little selfish. But the reality is that we are kind of the sacrificial lamb as the leader. Leaders eat last. Right? And as the father, you're the leader. There are going to be those times where you feel like no one cares, right? And I posted that before. It was a video of, man, I can't think of his name, but he passed away Kevin Samuels. It's like sometimes we get tired, and sometimes we're exhausted, and we just go out and we do all that we can do, and don't nobody give a damn. Nobody cares. The people we're doing it for don't care, because they don't know, right? They don't know. Your kids don't know. And this is something that, and it's kind of our fault. And maybe if we have better conversations with our kids, it wouldn't be this way. But we tell our kids when they're young that they could be anything that they want to be. When they grow up, they could be a firefighter, policeman, a president, a soldier, a doctor, lawyer, all these things, right? We tell them the sky is the limit. And they believe us, because they should, because in theory it is. The sky is the limit. And so they think the same thing of us. They think that we had the same options that they had. Like, we could have been a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And so whatever career route we chose, they think that that's the job that we want to do. Like, why would you be doing? You telling me I could be a president, I can do anything I want to do, and you're not doing the same thing. Like, they don't think that. They think that the job that you're doing is a job that you enjoy. And so when you act like you don't want to be at work, or, you're saying, I got to go to work because I got to take care of you, they're like, huh? That don't line up. I thought you were doing what you wanted to do. I thought you were doing the job that you wanted to do. When you were a little boy and you said that you were going to grow up, this is what you wanted to do, right? Like, they don't make that connection. And so we can't look at it that way. We are doing what we want to do for them, no matter how hard it is, because the reality is you could be doing something different. You could be working at a different job. You could be, maybe finding another way to make money, but you're doing what you either have some skill at, or what you were able to get hired doing. And that is providing for your family. And so you're doing that out of choice and out of love and out of care. So, while those struggles happen, people don't appreciate you the way that you maybe feel you should be appreciated. Understand that you're making a choice, and you made a choice to be in this role. But there was a post that specifically kind of touched on that, and I'm gonna see if I can find it really quickly before I get too far away from it, kind of running my mouth. There's no words to this. It was actually an image, and I just put a little sound on it, but see if I can find it real quick. Stuff be taking forever to find something. Okay, yeah. So here's to all the dads who paid for dinner that no one was grateful for, who didn't know they'd make it to payday, who are trying their best to be a good man in a society that devalues them. And that kind of brought up some stuff for people who lost their patience multiple times a day because they see their life passing with their dreams still in their chest, who never hear, I'm proud of you, because those are important words to a man, who work long hours and leave all the day's frustrations at the door to be there for his kids, because that's what dads do, who love so much even when they feel they're failing, who shoulder the weight of the world for their family You're doing a great job and I'm proud of you. And that comes off kind of the same, like the ending of last week's episode of the weekly wrap up is all of those things are true for someone in some way, right? There is a dad that paid for dinner last night and really didn't know how he was going to do it. You know, it was a struggle trying to figure out how they was going to make it happen. And nobody was like, hey, thanks, Dad. You know, people were expected to eat, so they ate. You know, you didn't know you could make it to payday. Like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're living check to check. You didn't know if things were going to work out. You didn't know if you was going to get that bill paid, but you made it. You made it to payday and you survived another week. This is for you. The one we're talking about trying to be the best man you can be in a world that devalues men. I think guys got a little personal with that one, as saying that they didn't feel like, you know, if the world devalued them, it didn't matter to them because they had some value, understood the value that they have. And that's true. And I agree. But I don't think that's what the statement is here is saying. It's more of there is a feeling of I can do this without a man. I think we've all heard that before. I don't need no man kind of thing. But women will say that. Or, you know, different jobs and different things in society are shifting away from men and moving into, you know, other people doing the job. And so that's I think where we're going with devalue. Not that, you know, men don't matter, but you know, there's other ways, you know, other ways to skin that cat depending on what the situation is. This is one that's kind of a deeper one, is right, who lost their patience multiple times a day because they see their life passing with their dreams still in their chest. That is a traumatic reflex, right? I'm mad at you because I'm not happy. Or I'm reacting to you in a certain way because I'm not happy. That's not the way that we want to do things. And that's why, you know, we talk about working on ourselves and making ourselves better, is because we don't want our wound to bleed on somebody else, right? Because hurt people. And if we are dealing with something, or we have some trauma, we have some stress, we have something going on with us, and we allow that to bleed into our relationship with our children, then our children end up having problems that they don't need to have because they didn't actually do anything. We lost our temper because we didn't have emotional discipline, because we had our own issues and we let that bleed onto them, right? Hearing I'm proud of you is extremely important to every man. And the guys will act like they don't need that. Guys will, you know, can try to be tough. Tough guys on the internet will always say that, you know, man up and be a man and all that. And like, they don't want to hear that I'm proud of you. But I think that's why people win championships. That's why sports is competitive. That's why there's a winner and a loser, is because when you win, people are proud of the fact that you were successful and you won, and your country's proud. Look at the Olympics, right? We're going to win gold medals. Gold medal in America, you get like $30,000. You work 4 years of hard work for $30,000. That ain't worth it. The reason people are doing it is because they want to make their country proud. They want to make their friends proud. They want to make their family proud. It's about pride. It's about people saying that I'm proud of you. It's proud to represent the country that you live in. Otherwise, you can get a job and make $30,000 in a few months, right? Not in a few years, right? So it's not about that, right? It's about the pride that comes with it. And so it is a very important thing for a man to hear, is that I'm proud of you. And which is why I tell guys all the time, hey dog, listen, I know it's difficult. I know you're struggling. I know things are going, you know, maybe not in the way that you want them to go, but I'm proud of you, because you woke up this morning and you checked in and you raised your hand and said, I'm here. Even though you struggled, you're here for your family. There's no absences on your role sheet. It's all present, right? You're here. And so that's the most important part. So I'm proud of you, right? And I'm saying that to you guys now. I'm proud of you. If you're listening to this podcast, you obviously want to be a better father. I'm proud of you, right? Keep it up. Keep up the good work. You work long hours and leave all the day's frustrations at the door so you can be there for your kids. This is it, man. This is kind of tying it all together. Is we are, because our nature is to provide for our family, we're going to go out and we're going to make the bacon. We're going to go out and hunt, and we're going to bring the food home for the kill. Sorry, we're going to bring the kill home for food, right? And when we get to the door, we're not going to bring in all of the stress and trauma of the day. We're not going to let our frustrations with work, frustrations with our coworkers, our frustrations with the commute come into the door with us. We got to leave that at the door, because the little person on the other side of the door has nothing to do with that. Like I said before, they think you're going to work the job that you told them that they could work. You told them they could do anything in the world. So they believe that dad did anything in the world. Right. And so for you to come in the door after working the job of your dreams and spaz out on them, it don't compute. And all they see is dad is mean and dad is mad and dad is not happy to be here and dad doesn't want to be home. Every time he comes home, he's mad. And you understand how that kind of works into you and them being on the couch, 30 years from now, talking to somebody that's a professional about their childhood trauma. So leave it at the door, right? Because that's what dads do. Who love so much when they feel like they're failing. I think all of us have that at some point. I think that that's part of the process. It's part of the journey is to feel like maybe you didn't do it right. I think that's a sign that you care though, right? Because the dudes that don't care, they're unbothered. They don't. Deadbeat dads are unbothered, man. They don't care. They're just out there living. They're living their life, right? I don't know how fun it is, but they're living their life and they're not worried about failing as a father. All right. It's only considered a failure as a father if you quit. If you become a deadbeat, that's when it's a failure. Right? You come up short, we maybe do some things wrong, maybe not do some things exactly the way you want to, or provide maybe the ways that you want to, of course, because nobody's perfect. But you love through it, right? You give everything that you can, even though you feel like you're failing. That's the sign of a good man, a good father. You shoulder the weight of the world for your family because you don't want them to feel that, right? So you go out in the world and you put your shield on and you take all of it so that they don't have to feel it. For you doing the thing that you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. Okay. There's a couple other posts, but I think I'm gonna end on that because I think that's probably the best message that I can give you guys this week is that it's not a thankless job being a father. It's not a unfulfilling job being a father, but there are certain expectations of a man that is deciding to be present in his child's life, a man that is stepping up and answering the call of fatherhood. There are certain things that are just expected of you. And so people don't clap when you do it, right? Like I play football and there's certain things about football that people just expect to happen. And when they don't, people lose it. For example, the center to quarterback exchange. That's a given. Like I'm expecting every single time that center snaps the ball, it's going to make it to the quarterback's hands. It's a given. It's a part of the game. It's going to happen every time. When it doesn't happen, it's completely devastating. But I'm definitely not going out and patting the quarterback on the helmet for receiving the ball. I'm not patting the center on the helmet for making sure the quarterback got it. I'm expecting that to happen. Now, the frequency at which it happens correctly is going to vary depending on the level of those two men, but I'm not high-fiving them for that. And they shouldn't expect me to high-five them for that. But it is not to say that that's not a skill, right? Because there's obviously people who can't do it, right? Like if you watch a Pop Warner game or you watch a like middle school tackle football, high school games, you see fumbled snaps all the time. You get to the NFL, you might see them every once in a while, right? And it's usually some kind of miscommunication or a snap count situation, but it's not because the two men lack skill. But nobody goes and high fives them for that. And that's kind of how fatherhood is. You got to make sure that the ball gets to the quarterback. Nobody's going to like cheer you on for it. No one's going to like clap for you because you did it. It's a part of what's expected of you. But I and the other linemen, the guard on both sides, the tackles, the quarterback, we all understand how important it is. The offensive line coach, we understand how important it is. The guard knows how important it is because he can't do it. That's why he plays guard. If he was better at it, then he could play center, right? The tackle knows because he don't even bend that way, right? Like it's physically difficult for him to even do it. Not even the mental aspect of, keeping the count, making sure he's snapping the ball the way it needs to be snapped. Like it's a skill. Fathering the way that you father is a skill. And while people may not applaud you for it because it's expected of you, don't let that make you think that it's not important. It is extremely important. Without you getting the ball to the quarterback, we lose every single game. Your family loses every single game. So continue to do the work that you're doing. Continue to be the man that you are. Continue to do all the things that you feel are important, because they are, regardless of the high fives and the handshakes, regardless of how much struggle it is, right? Nobody cares if the ball is slippery and it's raining, right? Nobody cares if the ball was in the mud. You got to get it to the quarterback. Not that we don't know that that's a challenge. Not that we don't know that there's a struggle, but it is what it is. And so we got to get it done, right? All right, fellas, wrapping up the week, moving into next week. This week's episode is going to be another good one on Friday, so stay tuned. It'll be Friday at 5 p.m. And again, I'm excited for who you got. Let me see who's slated to be on Friday at 5 p.m. Yeah, so Steve Johnson is actually a really good episode. Steve has a very unique situation, and I'm excited for you guys to hear his story. But just something I don't think any of us think about, something that we take for granted. But when you guys get an opportunity to hear his story and hear how it has motivated him to do what he's doing now, to create change, to father in a new way, I think when you guys hear this, it is definitely going to speak to your heart. It's going to be an opportunity for you to really embrace and be grateful for all the things that you have in your family and your children, and use this as motivation to show up in a whole new way. So stay tuned for Friday's episode, and I will look forward to seeing you guys then. You just tuned into another episode of the Fit Fatherhood podcast. Thank you once again for listening. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow me at You Can Call Me Coach on Instagram. Also follow the podcast at Fit Fatherhood, the number 4 and the letter U on You Can Call Me Coach. Go ahead and flip over to the next episode, man. I know you love this one, so you'll probably love the next one. Excited for you guys to hear it.